Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala Sayyid al-Anbiya wal Mursaleen wa ba'd. One of the beautiful qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is hikmah, wisdom. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hikmah is unlike the hikmah of you and I. You and I as human beings, when we think about hikmah, we think about what is most expedient. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thinks about hikmah, for Him He is ahkamul hakimin, the most wise, the best of planners. وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Everyone makes plans and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes plans. Jalaluddin al-Rumi, he gives the analogy, what's the difference between the hikmah and wisdom of you and I and the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He says it's very similar to an ant that crawls on a very elaborate and beautiful carpet. As the ant is crawling, it can only see what's in front of it, but it cannot see behind, it cannot see above. And as it's crawling, there are all of these designs, and it's thinking to itself, Jalaluddin Rumi says, that it's thinking to itself that, why is the patterns changing? Why are there these grooves? Why is there up and down? It makes no sense. But the carpet weaver who looks at the carpet from above can notice that the difference in color, the difference in design, the difference in the bumps, all of these are part of the design of the carpet. Similarly, when we experience life, we have very reactionary takes on everything. We think to ourselves, in my life, why is there this one bump? I think, why is there a change? What's happening? And sometimes we get very catastrophic. We think that the world is going to come to an end. Everything is negative. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's ahkamul hakimin, He can see more than you and I can see. There's so much happening behind the scenes that you and I may not be even aware of, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is planning. And that is why one of the things that we always say is very common, that no matter what happens, قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. That whatever is happening, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one whose taqdeer is ultimately the most beneficial. Things will happen in your life where you think to yourself like, okay, this is not right. I wish this never happened. Oh, I'm so upset, I'm so frustrated. Even in the spur of the moment, you start screaming and yelling in frustration, and then only moments later you realize how beneficial it is. I remember once I was going to an event which was starting around 2 o'clock, and I didn't keep an eye on the time, and I remember I was driving, and I realized based on the ETA, I was going to make it at like 1:56, 1:57, right before the program was going to start. So I'm driving, and there's just one light. You know, subhanAllah, Dallas it's kind of inconsistent with its lights. Sometimes the red light will take 30 seconds, sometimes the red light will take 3 minutes. There's just one light that it's in Arlington. There's just one light. If you stop over there, it's going to stop for 3 minutes. You're going to sit over there and wait as the lines pile up, and then 3 cars will go. And then, so I remember, subhanAllah, that time the lane was open, and the light was green, and it was just about to turn yellow, and I'm going fast, and there's this car in front of me that's going on the other lane, and it comes right into my lane, and it takes that yellow light, and it skips the red light. And I hit the brakes, and I think to myself, like, subhanAllah, this person over here, because of him, I may have caught the red light, I may have skipped the red light, but now I'm going to be 2 minutes late. I'm going to get there at 2 o'clock. And subhanAllah, just as I think, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like yelling in my mind, I see there's a cop car waiting right there. I could see from the corner of my eye, there's a cop car waiting right there. If I had gone right, and anybody who's been to Arlington knows, mashallah, those cops will give you a ticket for going past green light. Yeah, mashallah, that's how they are. But subhanAllah, I was right about to make that turn, and I stopped right in the last moment because I was scared I'm going to give him a fender bender. And the light was red, and subhanAllah, there was a cop right there, and I thought to myself, you know, sometimes you hit the brakes in life thinking that it's not good for you. But then it's only after you get your emotions down and you start looking around, instead of just looking in front of you, you start looking to the right, you start looking to the left, that you realize what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't planned for you is much better. Imagine I got stopped over there, pulled over. Instead of getting there at 1:59 or 2 o'clock, I would have gotten there at 2:30, and my mood would have been upside down because I'd have a $200 ticket. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's ahkamul hakimeen. Sometimes things happen in your life. We're like the ant, we see the bumps, we see the color changes, we see the differences, and we start complaining. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees all of the designs. And that's why one of the things we should always be saying is, قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلْ. Whatever happens, Allah is ahkamul hakimeen. He's done the taqdeer, it's in the hands of Allah. وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلْ. Whatever He wants to do, He will continue doing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to appreciate His wisdom, make us patient with His ahkam, and allow us to be happy when everything good happens and optimistic when anything perceivably bad happens. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.